Okay, well, MSB has been around over 25 years. We began with the beginning of the CD. We felt that there was more in the CD than we were hearing from the first players, and so we started with a Philips player, replaced the clocks, upgraded the DACs, did a new analog stage, and the MSB was basically born right there. In all the years since, we have been developing and improving the ladder DAC technology, clock technology, digital filtering, all the aspects of the DAC. Until today, everything in the DAC is MSB design, discrete design, and we are still pushing what we can get out of a CD. Well, we have been in a chase with digital sample rates ever since we left CD behind, and I think we are now pushing past the limits of our DAC technology to resolve the resolution in the material. So we're at 384 kilohertz. Our DAC is able to run twice that before we start running into limits in our DAC, and I think that sample rate limit will probably be good for a number of years. Our focus now is to get more out of the sample rates that already exist, and I think 384 is probably a good limit for a number of years. We make a 384 kilohertz A to D converter, and people like Chesky are just starting to make recordings at 384, so that's still very much a pioneering frequency. That's a very good question. I think there's a lot of confusion in the market concerning DSD and DXD and all these versions of basically the same thing. Just to put it in simple terms, DXD has 3 times the resolution as 64x DSD. So why have DSD when you have DXD? Well, I think the main reason is most DACs can't handle it. We make 5 levels of DAC, from our analog DAC to our select, all 5 except DSD on all inputs, not just USB, and can all handle 64x, 128x, as well as the DXD. So what I feel is whatever the format of the original recording, that should be the format to be played back. So if a studio is mixing DXD, then DXD should be the format for the end user to select, because that will give the best resolution. It should not be downsampled, it should not be upsampled, it shouldn't be changed in any way. We should always run with a native format. If the archives are 64x DSD, then that's what should be sold, and that's what should be played. Well, the markets for us have been very good around the world recently. Occasionally there's some economic scare. Places like Russia right now, things have been slow because there's concern of sanctions and will they be able to sell their gas in Europe. And so yes, there's little bumps in the markets, but for a company like MSB, we offer a unique product. We really have no competitors. We're not a flash image product where we depend on people who have a large amount of money very suddenly just saying, wow, what's the most expensive thing to buy? Instead, we offer great sound and really a great value. So for the one who loves music, MSB sales have been strong in the last few years all around the world, and I just haven't felt we have even a weak market right now. Yes, we have been pulling more of our manufacturing in-house. So we have a new factory now. We have two NC milling machines running 2 shifts a day. And we are pretty much filled our space and are now thinking, okay, we even need a little more production space. We find a tremendous advantage in design to be able to draw up a product in the morning on SolidWorks, review the design, machine in the afternoon, try assembling, see an improvement, make that change in the next day, have a new part with a change in it. This has given us tremendous freedom to improve our product very, very quickly and very cost effectively. If we had to make drawings and send them out to a shop, wait for weeks and weeks for our sample, as we used to, the product development is very, very slow. If we had to send to China, we would wait months, and the quality would be a problem, and we'd have to go back to China, have them redo it again and again. So we're very happy about the idea of doing as much in-house as we can, having complete control of the design and the manufacturing. All of the MSB design work is done in-house by full-time employees. We don't use any consultants, any outside firms. It's all ours. When a customer calls and says, hey, can you change this? He's talking to the designer of the product who says, sure, this will take me about 10 minutes. And a change can be made just as easy as that. And I think that's one of our strengths. And it's something that gives us great pleasure, is to be able to just say, sure, you want a different color, you want a different connector on the back of your amplifier? No problem. We can do it because we have total control. Well, our amplifiers are, again, as everything we make, just a little different. We developed our first amplifier simply to create a very neutral, very fast, very revealing amp to use in our DAC development. We chose a shape that maximized the amount of heat dissipation and gave us the shortest possible signal paths. So it was a cylinder. It had no power button, no standby mode. You just plugged it in and it was on. It was very hot and it sounded amazing. So we would take it to shows with us. People would see it, want to know what it is, started to order it. It was never our intent to sell an amplifier. Over the years, we've developed that amplifier into a real product. We've added the normal kind of features that you would expect on an amplifier. We built now a stereo amplifier and a monoblock. They're 200 watt, Class A. They have no negative feedback. They are able to drive almost all speakers without any effort, and are just very neutral, very transparent, and a product with very little promotion. Our distributor in the UK gave a pair to Paul Messenger to review, and he said they were the best all-around amps he's ever heard. He tried them on every speaker conceivable and just went crazy. And so the amp got a little bit of momentum, but we've actually never had the amp reviewed in the US, and just had to focus on our DACs, and the amp is just a happy surprise for those who try it. Well, I have two new products here. The first is our signature universal media transport. This is a universal player based on the Oppo. It will stream, push or pull. It will play pretty much any type of round media which you'd spin. Blu-ray music, SACD, CDs, a whole range of different media. It will play off a USB drive. In my own system at home, I use the UMT with my NAS as just a very convenient way to play music off of a safe storage without the use of a computer, and I find that to be a very reliable way to go. But the big features of this UMT is that it has two power supplies, and the video, the drive, and the internet interface are completely isolated from the digital audio interface. It's attached to our DAC with a Pro I2S connection, which feeds the clock from the DAC to the UMT, so that everything happening, including the streaming, is done in sync with the DAC clock. So this means that everything in the system is going at the same speed using the same clock, so that we don't have a lot of noise coupling from one device's clock to the next device. So this interface is very powerful. With this interface plus the isolated power supplies, we're really very independent from source when it comes to the sound. A CD ripped, put on a computer, put on a hard drive, or played sound pretty much the same using this double isolation method. So we're very excited about the new Signature UMT. The other product that is new, that I have been now 4 weeks touring in Europe demonstrating, is our new Select DAC. This is a DAC that is one step above our latest top of the line, which is our Diamond DAC 4. The Select is not only our newest DAC, but it's also a new program. Rather than just being a product which we release, it is a 10-year commitment between MSB and our customer to upgrade that product continuously over those 10 years and give that customer the ability to trade in whatever level they're at to the latest level for free for the first year, and for the remaining 9 years just for the difference in price between their original product and the current product. So this is a delight for engineers like me and like our team, because every day we are working on new ideas to improve digital playback. And every new idea we try, we can incorporate first in the Select. We can take it around and test it in the market and see, how does it sound on different systems? Is it really valuable? Is it a great idea? Or is it something we should move on to another idea? So we have this great test bed to experiment with new ideas and bring them very quickly to our customers. So the Select is very exciting for us. It's very exciting for customers who like to stay up to date and have the latest in DAC technology. I think the innovations that we have already incorporated in the Select give us a new level of sound resolution, especially in low-level sound, that we've never heard before. Traditionally, for years now in DACs, we've had two vectors which we've worked on. One is jitter, and one is DAC accuracy. And the effect on the sound is quite well understood. With jitter, the lower the jitter, the less harshness is involved in a DAC. The more natural it sounds, the more analog-like it sounds. With resolution, we get accuracy in the harmonics of instruments. They sound more like the instrument, more believable. In the Select, we tried working on a new area, something we've never looked at before. An assumption that was made in the early days of CD by all manufacturers. How will we handle this digital media? And this was an assumption we made that, well, this should be good enough for CD. After all, it's just a cheap consumer product. And it's just an area none of us have ever looked at. And we stumbled across it in our research and made some tests and found a stunning effect on a DAC with the resolution that the Select has in the very low-level details. For example, what used to sound just like background hiss on maybe an analog tape transfer, something like without definition. Suddenly, you hear two things. You hear the hall, people shifting around in their seat, and that kind of ambience, the reflected sound from the walls. And you hear analog tape hiss. you hear them both. And your mind says, oh, I know what that is, and just ignores it. And then you start to hear the violins, and you forget the hiss, because it's so well defined that your mind can ignore it. And this effect seems to translate through all kinds of recording errors and mastering errors and transfer errors and studio problems. There's such definition in the very low level that we just don't hear the defect anymore. And we start focusing on the music and we forget the defect. So it's a psychoacoustic effect because really the difference is very small. But somehow the mind is very capable, when the noise is clearly defined, of ignoring it. Where when it was all mixed up with the music, it was just distorted music. And so I'm very excited about this new effect in the Select. Everywhere I take it in demo, people say, wow, I've listened to this CD 1,000 times. I never heard that before. Or that voice, that vibrato in that lady's voice, it's just so much clearer. I've just never noticed it, even though I've heard it over and over and over and over. And so I've been really excited. This has been an incredible 4 weeks of traveling and demoing in expensive systems and cheap systems, big rooms and small rooms, speakers of all technology. And in every case, it's the same effect where we compare our Diamond DAC and the Select. The difference is just huge and stunning and really quite unexplainable. So we're very excited about this new effect. We're saying nothing about what it really is because it's one of those things that's just best not to announce to our competitors because they would go, why didn't we think of that? It's so obvious. So we're just not going to say a word till we've had a few years with it, and we want to fine-tune it and improve it, but this is the first cut, and we're really excited about where the Select is going. And we have lots of new ideas how to even make it better now that we've stumbled on it. So that's our new products that we brought out at the Munich show, and we've been showing throughout Europe. Europe's had the advantage over Asia in this case because my trip was planned here as soon as the Select was ready. So Europe is enjoying the Select, and it really hasn't been presented yet in Asia. So you've got the first cut at the Select. It's very exciting.